So in order to knit this hat, the cable knit hat, you're gonna need some chunky yarn, and I have here Drops Eskimo. It's very soft and it's quite chunky. They recommend that you knit it with size 8mm US 11. But I'm just gonna go down a size because I like hats to be a bit more packed so the wind doesn't go through. So you need wool, and you also need needles, and you don't have to have these interchangeable needles that I have, but I just wanted to show you these ones. They're by Knit Pro or Knitter's Bride in America, and you usually get cables, the needle tips, and the key for it, and they also have these things that you put on your project if you need the needles but you still want to leave your project on the cable so the stitches don't come off. They look like this. Sorry, I still have a cough from Christmas. Okay, so let me just show you how to do this. So you put your key into the hole here, and then you take your needle tip and then you just twist it in, and then you tie it up. That's one done, and then that's another one. So if you're using these 7mm needles for the hat and a chunky yarn like this, you'll need to cast on 61 stitches, and then we're going to knit in the round. So you want to leave a long-ish tail in order to have enough for 61 stitches. Then you're going to make a slip knot, and then we're going to cast on. So you put your thumb like this, you pick, twist around and pull through, and then your thumb is already there. Twist, put through here, pick the yarn and pull through. So we have 3 stitches. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and keep doing this. Your cast on is going to look like this. Don't make it too tight. Okay, so I've got 61 stitches here, and you want to lay your work with all the knots up like this. Like that. And then roughly about halfway here, you're gonna grab your cord and you're gonna pull it. It's quite hard to do on camera. Okay, you pull it like this. Just make sure nothing is twisted. So you have like this, all your knots at the top. Then you want to pick your needles like this, and we did 61 stitches because we want to move one stitch. I'll show you. So we're going to move this stitch here, like this, and then we're going to start with the knit two together, the stitch that we moved with the first stitch on the left. So we did a knit two together there, and we're gonna start working this hat by a 1x1 rib. So we did a knit two together, then we're gonna do a purl one, then we're gonna do a knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, and you want to keep doing this. Repeat round after round for about 5 centimeters. Now if you want it longer, you can make it longer, the rib, but I suggest about 5 centimeters, and I'll see you when you're done with that. So once you finished the rib, it should look like this, and we still have 60 stitches on our needles, and we're going to start working the horseshoe cable. And the only row where there's a bit of a trick, or not a trick, but the only row that it's a bit harder is row number 5, where we're going to cable, so we're going to twist the stitches behind each other or in front of each other. But let's start with row number 1. And for row number 1, and I'll write everything in the description down below, so do expand so you can see exactly what I've done. We're gonna start by purling 1, then we purl 2, then we knit 8, okay. Now we're going to purl 2 and purl 2 again. So we're going to repeat this 4 more times. That's round number 1. Now for round number 2, 3, 4, we're going to work each stitch in the manner that it's presented. So we do the same thing for 3 more rounds, and I'll put that on time lapse. So here I've finished row number 4, so I've done 4 rows, and now we're ready for row number 5, which will be the cable row, and I'm using just a double pointed needle for it. I don't own a cable needle, but they look a bit skinnier in the middle and chunkier at the sides, so the stitches don't slip off. I never had a problem with it. I've always used just double pointed needles, and you want to use one that is roughly the same size as your working needles. So don't use like a very small gauge needle for this, because you don't want your stitches to tighten up. But let me show you how to work the cable row. So we're going to start with our reverse stockinette here. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to purl the purl stitches. So we're just going to purl these stitches here, which are 3, and now we have to cable 4 to the back, which means we're going to take our double pointed needle and we're going to slip 2 stitches onto it and put them at the back, hold it at the back like this, bring our yarn forward and knit 2 from our left needle. It's a bit fiddly, I have to say, but it's just one row and it makes a nice cable. And then we're gonna knit the stitches from our double pointed needle. Okay, so we just cable 4 to the back, and now we're going to cable 4 to the front, which means we're going to slip, and you always slip as if to purl. I'm going to slip 2 stitches, we're going to hold them at the front, we're going to knit 2 stitches from our left needle, and then we're going to knit the 2 stitches from our double pointed needle. 1, 2. So we just cabled 4 to the front, and that's what makes the horseshoe shape. Okay, let's just put this needle here so I don't lose it. Okay, now we're going to purl the purl stitches. Just make sure you pull on them so you don't have a big gap. 1, 2, 3. You should have 7 purl stitches here. Okay, now we're back to the knit, to the stockinette, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cable 4 to the back, so we're going to slip 2 stitches, hold them at the back, bring our yarn forward, knit 2, and then knit 2 stitches from our double pointed needle, cable needle. There we go. Now we're going to cable 4 to the front, so we're going to slip 2 stitches, hold them in the front, knit 2 stitches from our left needle, and knit the 2 stitches that we slipped. 1, 2. Okay, then we're going to purl the purl stitches. Okay, and I'm using here the magic loop method. You can use like shorter cable, so you can just work in the round. I prefer the magic loop method. Okay, let's purl these ones here. Purl 1. Oh, this yarn is so easy to split. 2, 3. Okay, so cable 2 to the back, bring our yarn forward, knit 2, and knit 2 stitches from the cable needle, cable 2 to the front, it's a bit tricky, but once you get the hang of it, then it goes much easier. Okay, and we're done with round number 5, which was the hardest one of the 6. and this is what it's going to look like. So it looks like your work underneath is going in and this one is going out. And the next round is round number 6, and we work each stitch in the manner that is presented. So we're going to purl the purls and knit the knits, and then you repeat this 6 rows for the length that you want. Just wanted to show you how to attach a new ball of yarn if you're using 100% wool, and I have a video on this, I'll link it down below. But sometimes you have just one strand of wool, so it's like this, and then all you gotta do is roughly split it in half and cut a bit off like this, and then take your new ball of yarn and do the same to this end. And now the least favorite part, because you get a lot of this wool in your mouth, you just want to twist it. And then you want to put spit on it, so excuse me. Ugh, that's disgusting. But that's the only way that it works. So it looks like this, a bit wet. And then what you want to do, you put it in your palm and just apply friction to it. And the heat with the spit, it's gonna glue that wool together. And I'm telling you, you won't know where you've attached it. But it only works with wool, 100% wool. Something to do with the lanolin in it. Look, it's so sturdy, you can't break it. And then you want to roughen it a little bit, like this. And continue knitting. Okay, so once you've done about this much, so I cabled 3 times, we're ready to start the decreases. And I have here my purple hat that I've knitted with the fleece, brushed fleece from Rowan. And as you can see, we need to start shaping the crown. So we're going to do the decreases on the reverse stockinette, and it's very easy. It's just knit 2 together, and obviously we keep working in the pattern for the cable knitting. So this is row 1. Excuse me. This is row 1 in the cable knitting, and usually in row 1 you just knit the knits and purl the purls. So what we're gonna do to start the decreases, we're gonna purl 1, and then we have 2 purl stitches here, so we're gonna purl those 2 together, and then we're gonna knit 8 because that's the cable, and we're not decreasing in the cable just yet. Okay, and now we're going to purl 2 together. So what we're going to do on the reverse stockinette is we're going to purl 2 together, purl to the last 2, and purl those 2 together. So purl 2 together, then we're going to purl 3, and then we're going to purl 2 together again. And as you can see, our work is kind of shaping up. Then we're going to knit 8, Okay, now we're at the reverse stockinette again, so we're going to purl two together, then we're going to purl three. I do apologize for the leaf blower thing. It's not supposed to be on today, but apparently every time I try to film it, they're coming to blow the leaves. Anyways, I hope it's not too disturbing. So we're going to knit 8, purl two together, purl 3, purl two together again, and continue until the end of your round. And then the next round, which is round number 2 from the cable section, we're gonna knit the knits and purl the purls, and I'll see you on the round number 3 when we're gonna do decreases again. Alright, so we're on round number 3 and we're going to do another set of decreases. Just to be clear, we decreased 8 stitches on the round 1. So for the next round, we're going to purl two together here. Start with purl two together, then we're going to knit 8. Then we're going to purl two together again, purl 1, purl two together, knit 8, and continue purling two together at the beginning of the reverse stockinette and purling two together at the end of reverse stockinette, and then do one more round, round number 4, with knit the knits and purl the purls, and I'll see you when we need to cable again. Alright, now we're on to round number 5 and we're ready to do the cables. So you want to grab your double pointed needle. By the way, let me know if this lining works better. I'm just trying a new thing. Okay, so we're going to start with purl 1, then we're going to cable 2 to the back. And I'm just going to show you this one time because I did at the beginning of the cables. So we're going to knit 2, knit the 2 from the cable needle. Okay, then we're going to cable 2 to the front. Okay, and then the other thing that I wanted to show you was for the reverse stockinette here we have 3 purl stitches, so we're going to purl 2 together in this round and then purl 1, and then continue with cable, purl 2 together, purl 1 until you finish, and I'll see you in my next round. As you can see, I finished the cable round and we don't have very many stitches left. We need to do some more decreasing. And because we have 2 purl stitches here, we have to make them into 1. So I'm just going to purl this first stitch, then I'm going to knit 8, and then purl the 2 stitches together, and we kind of closed in the cables. We only have 1 stitch in between coming from 7, and for the next round, by the way, this is round number 6 from the cable sequence, cable set. So you purl 2 together there, knit 8, quilt it together again, knit 8, so we have one purl stitch here and one purl stitch there, so we're just gonna pull the needle through and put those two stitches next to each other so we can purl them together. Okay, in our next round we're just going to purl those two stitches together. Okay, and now we need to decrease these rows, so we're going to knit it together, knit it together, knit it together, knit it together. Then we're going to purl 1, knit it together 4 times, purl 1, do the same on this side. Okay, now we're left with just a few stitches. We're going to knit the knits and purl the purls. This is what our head looks like so far. We are on round number 2 from the cable set, and we're going to do 2 more rounds exactly the same, and then we're going to cable, and then we're going to close the hat. Okay, we've got one more round, and that's to cable the stitches that are left. And now we have 4, so we're not going to cable 4, we're going to cable 2. Yeah, so we're going to purl 1, then we're going to pick 1 stitch, put it at the back, knit 1, and then knit the one from the back, cable 1 to the front, knit 1, knit 1, then we're going to purl 1, continue doing this until you finish the round. Okay, now that we finished the cable round, we're going to take one of these tapestry needles. Let's take this one because it's bigger. You're going to cut your yarn, and we're just going to slip this yarn through the remaining stitches. Here we go. Just making it really tight, and you can go around again. Like this. And then pull it inside. Weave in your end, and then you're done. If you want to put a pom-pom, you can make one and just attach it to the top here. This is what it's gonna look like. Now just to Just to tell you, if you want to make this to fold, obviously you have to make it a little longer, so maybe do 3 more cables and then start shaping the crown. This is just a beanie. It's like this one that I have. It's very nice and soft, squishy, and I love the cables. Let me know if you decide to knit this, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.